Yes. Bubbles. I love bubbles. I love this one too. This is one of my favorite ones. Yes. 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 It's funny. I love it. Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I love my life. Explosions of laughter and joy. Oh my gosh. I love my life. Oh my gosh. I love these filters. They're funny. Wow, it's wild. That is wild. It's so interesting looking. Oh my gosh. Look at this. So, if I switch the filter back, is this, what color is this? Yes. What color is this? Let me see. Ha ha ha. It's fun. You don't have to explain nothing to nobody. Nothing. Nothing at all. Nothing. You don't have to explain nothing to nobody. I love this. You don't have to explain nothing to nobody. I love it. Yes. Oh my gosh. She's better than to get some. She's better than You don't have to explain nothing to nobody. Oh my gosh, I love my life. It's so fun. You don't have to explain nothing to nobody. Oh my gosh. What a wonderful life. Oh my gosh. Hmm. You don't have to explain nothing to nobody. Yes. Yes. You don't have to explain nothing to nobody. It's fun. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm not laughing with you, I'm laughing at you. Oh. You don't have to explain nothing to nobody. Oh my gosh, I love my life. I love every second of every minute of every hour of every decade of every millennia of every bicentennia. Yes, it's heroic. Heroic. Uh, oh yeah, by the way, you don't have to explain nothing to nobody. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. Here we are in our olden days, in our ancient ways. You don't have to explain nothing to nobody. Oh my gosh. Oh man. What are you having for breakfast today? What are you having for breakfast? What are you having for breakfast today? Eggs upon eggs. Eggs upon eggs. I love eggs. I love eggs. And I love Barbara Walters. Barbara Walters. She will be missed by all. I love Barbara Walters. I love her. And you don't have to explain nothing to nobody. I love that. I love my life. Getting high on my own supply. Yes. What do I mean by this? I mean, I am 100% naturally happy without any substances at all. Nothing. That's what I mean by getting high on my own supply. This is coffee. There is a mild amount, there is a small amount of caffeine in it. It's dark roast. There's less caffeine. There is caffeine. However, I am not high on caffeine. In fact, I just started drinking it just now, and I've had a small amount of it, and it doesn't make me high. I am 100. So, to be more specific, I'm 99.5% natural. And how I have gotten there was I went out and I stood in the sun for probably 30 minutes or so. And it felt really good. And it helps. But I've also practiced meditation now. For those of you who are sticklers, I don't have to explain nothing to nobody. I'm not claiming to be an expert of anything. Nothing. I'm not claiming anything. It's just my opinion. And I'm going to disclose that right off the bat. I'm no health expert. I'm no science expert. No expert whatsoever. So just take that off your list. No advice here. Go to someone else for that. Please do not be confused. This is just my opinion, and I'm entitled to it, and I love my life, and I want to share something. So, I have a lot of experience. That doesn't entitle me to anything. Nothing. I have no certificates. The one certificate I'm looking at on the wall, it's for someone else. It's someone else's degree. I have nothing except a professional musician's certificate from a college that no longer exists. And it gets you nothing, believe me. So, I have no advice on musical instruction, anyways. And I have actually no advice on anything. But I have a lot of experience in meditation. I've never been to an ashram. I've been to religious experiences that remind me of a monastery, remind me of an ashram, but they were not. I have read books and I've taught myself about the basic, most simple form of meditation. Meditation, the definition that I like is to become familiar with. That's where the word comes from, meditation. And I would say that the type of meditation that I do is to become familiar with silence, with stillness, with the thoughts of my mind, the thoughts of our mind. There's a similarity between all of humanity in that we have between 60 to 70,000 thoughts. If you don't believe me, I respect that. I honor that. Look it up. Do your own research. I'm not here to give advice. But my experience is somewhere between 0 and 40,000 hours and 200,000 hours. And I can't prove it. Don't ask me to, please. But I have a lot of experience. If you don't believe me, good. Don't. I am not here as an expert on a meditation. Oh my God. I will never claim that. I'm not interested. And if someone gives me an award that says you're an expert in meditation, I might take it if it's from like Harvard or something. I might accept it. So don't hold me to that. I can't know the future. But for now, I am certainly not claiming to be an expert. And the last thing I would ever claim is to be a health professional. Please go to your doctor for advice. And actually, even better than any of that, why not ask yourself, why not develop your own opinion? I love my life, and one of the best things about my life is that I am entitled to think for myself, to have my own opinion, and to say what I want on my platform. I'm not talking about YouTube. I'm not talking about Facebook. That's their platform. My platform is when I'm in my own mind. If I'm walking down the street and I scream at someone, there are limits to what I can say. There's freedom of speech, but if I'm screaming at someone, then they have a right to their opinion and what they want to say. But when it comes to my own thoughts, I have the right to believe what I want to believe. This is my platform in my mind, my thoughts. Some people say that that's changing, and to some degree it is. But for now, it's debatable whether or not anyone can read our thoughts. And so far, science is trying to do that, but we haven't gotten there yet. So, on my platform, I'm entitled to my own opinion. And I'm trying to get back to where I was going with that. Why not have your own opinion? But when it comes to meditation, I don't have to explain anything to anyone. I have somewhere between 40,000 and about 200,000 of hours in stillness, in silence, with my eyes closed, observing the unknown, observing my thoughts. And some people might say, I can't prove it, so therefore I can't claim it. Yes, I can. I love that I can claim it. I'm entitled to that. I can get deplatformed on social media, YouTube. Oh my gosh, I don't care. Whatever. I still have that. I'm entitled to claim that. Um, because I am not claiming to be an expert in anything. But with that said, I have a lot of experience, and meditation, you don't even have to call it meditation. You could call it breathing techniques. You could call it yoga, because my understanding of traditional yoga is that the movement aspect of what we see in the classes most often, that is just one aspect of it. But non sleep, deep rest, which is also known as yoga nidra, you're laying down and there's a way in which you can breathe, and within 1 hour you can have the equivalent of, you can be so restful that within 1 hour you can have up to 8 hours of it's the equivalent of 8 hours of deep sleep. So you can actually move yourself from a beta brainwave pattern into a theta and alpha and into delta. And I don't know enough about that to go more deeply into it, except that I've spent a lot of time in that position where I'm laying down and I'm in a deep state of rest, because laying down, it's easier to focus away from, like, for example, when I'm sitting, sometimes there's so much pressure on my seat that I'm focused on that. I'm focused on the first energy center, also known as the base of the spine, the chakra at the base of the spine. I forget the name of it, but essentially it is the energy center, the base of the spine energy center. And so when you're laying down and you're able to not fall asleep, but stay awake and stay conscious, but go into a delta state, move from beta to theta to alpha to delta, when you can move into that sleepy, where your body's at rest in a delta state, it can be a profound state of meditation. And in if you don't like the word meditation, breathing. So essentially, if I have, let's see, if let's see, I want to try this again. 40. Let's see. If I have about 400,000 hours of life, experience, 394,200 or so. Let's see. Yeah, somewhere around 400,000 hours of life. I believe that I have between 40,000 and about 250,000 hours of meditation. Now, I don't know exactly. I'm just guessing. But I have a lot of experience there. And right now, my intention is to um, a happiness practice, a breathing, a focused breathing practice, a focused meditation practice, a focused becoming, uh, being familiar with stillness, silence, between 40,000 and 250,000 or so hours of focused time. So what I've observed within that time is, um, oh my gosh, I just had a memory of somebody criticizing me for saying That is precious. Oh my gosh. So for whoever that person was, um, it sounds like a meditation practice. Um, so back to what I was saying. So from that experience of meditation, I have found that literally there is nothing to fear. What I think people have a hard time with when it comes to breathing practices and taking time to observe your thoughts and stillness and observing the unknown. Because really, when we have our eyes closed and we're in stillness and there's really nothing going on except for some background noise and some thinking, apart from that, what's really happening? Nothing. It's the unknown. It's so exciting. It's thrilling. It's there's so many great stories and movies and video games and songs and just, oh my gosh, great metaphors for what this is. It's beyond space. I love Star Trek, the final frontier. Space, the final frontier. It really is. And it's beyond the galaxy, the unknown. It's thrilling. There's nothing to fear. of all my experience, and whether it's Lincoln or John F. Kennedy, whoever said this, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. That is a very good, it may have been someone else. I don't care. I'm not publishing a book. I'm just live on a video. It's so funny the things that we think. Well, he didn't give the right bibliography notes. Quote. What? There's so much misinformation online. Even if I look it up, I could be completely wrong. It's a good thing to, it's a principle. There's nothing to fear, fear itself. For all I know, the person that's credited with that got it from someone else just walking down the street that didn't write a book. It's funny, but there really is nothing to fear. Now, if you are convinced that there's something to fear, and say, for example, another person, you got one person that's convinced, another person that's literally sitting in a cave exposed, and there has been a mountain lion or a bear, or years ago a saber-toothed tiger, or a dinosaur that can eat, that can just eat you alive, alligator, crocodile, whatever the danger is, poisonous snake, piranha, flying piranhas. If there is danger, then there is something to fear. Okay, so it brings a balance. There's harmony. Fear, no fear. Fear, no fear. There's a balance. When you're convinced that there's something to fear in your thinking, that's what I'm talking about. The flying piranhas, that's a metaphor. It's funny. But when you're exposed in nature and there's bears around, oh my gosh, I wouldn't say there's nothing to fear. There is. However, we can compose ourselves in those situations. So if you're either convinced or you're not quite sure that there's nothing to fear when you're in meditation, you can practice composing yourself when you're in a state of fear, and training yourself through hours of meditation. You don't have to do 40,000 hours next week. In fact, it's not possible to do. Let's see, in a week, that's 168 hours from now. There's only 168 hours. You're not going to get to 40,000. How many years would that take? If you meditated every second of every minute of every hour of every day. It would take 238.09 weeks. Oh my gosh, how many? I don't care. So, there's nothing to fear. It's just thoughts. Okay? And when we have our eyes closed, we can see images. We can see, I don't know exactly what they are, where they come from, but you can see, for me a lot of times it's just like blobs going over my face. And a lot of times they're purple and they're red, orange, yellow, green, blue. They're different colors, mostly shades of gray and black and white. But I see things, and it's not a hallucination. But when we move energy, so we can talk about energy later, when we move energy and we start to see things that are seemingly not there, we're actually seeing energy. We're seeing waves of energy. So it may or may not be um, paranormal, aliens, whatever. But but even if it is, I'm not saying it isn't. But even if it is, it's still energy. So, in my experience, those types of things that a lot of us don't believe exist, I think it makes life more interesting and fun to think about. But even if it is true, it's nothing to fear. Very, very, very rarely have I heard of anyone being damaged by paranormal spirits or aliens. And I'm not saying it can't happen. However, in my 200, possibly 250,000 hours of meditation, I think there's nothing to fear except when you begin to take on your belief system, when you believe thoughts and then you take it on as a belief system, you take it on as an identity of some kind of a victim of your thinking, you become convinced that there's something to fear, and then in that way there is. So there's a balance. Fear, no fear. Fear, no fear. If I wanted to be afraid of my thoughts, I would practice saying to myself, there's something to fear, there's something to fear. And then I would bring around me, if I could, I'd convince people to come around me and to chant that over me all, like day and night, if I could. I find people to help me. And I, over time, would probably be affected by that, unless I wanted to do that to challenge myself to see how powerful my mind was, and to just counter that and bring a balance to it. So our conditioning has led us to believe in some cases that there is something to fear. There are demonic spirits, there are evil spirits, there are whatever. I respect it. However, when it comes to stillness and meditation, our thinking, the practice of meditation, it's an adventure, and the mind is powerful. We can set an intention. It's a focus. It is a decision. It is a no other synonyms are coming to mind at the moment. An intention. We can set an intention. We can decide that I will not cave into fear. Meaning, fear is a fine thing to feel, but generally speaking, it's possible to move through our fear, and we can move through it through training. We can move through it quickly, and notice that it can come in waves. And to not do your meditation in a cave where you can be attacked by bears and mountain lions and lying piranhas. Yes. Okay. And by the way, when I do this, I respect everyone's culture. I respect everyone's religious belief. The the purpose of doing this, it's not to make myself look special or holy or anything. But what it is see these knuckles right here? When you press them ever so gently into your sternum, it's easy to place your attention on your heart center. That is all that I'm doing. And I'm entitled to that. I have a right to do that. It's a technique for breathing. And when we want to create heart and brain coherence and we place our hand on our heart, it's helpful to ever so gently feel that so we can keep our attention there. And we slow our breathing down. In only a few moments, we can create brain and heart coherence. It's wonderful for those of us that have been through trauma. I would say everyone on earth has probably been through some kind of little t trauma, and many of us have gone through some very, very severe trauma. So, when I talk about brain and heart coherence breathing, I want to pay my respect to the Heart Math Institute, who I have learned this from through people like Greg Braden and Dr. Joe Dispenza. And if you want to learn about that, go to their website, go to the Heart Math Institute website. I have not been given permission to teach that, but man, what I've learned from it. It's so phenomenal. I imagine people that medics, doctors, policemen, firemen, and women, fire people. Oh my gosh. Fire people. You're fired. So, people that are around traumatic events a lot, I imagine they really benefit from brain and heart coherence breathing. So, again, Heart Math Institute. Go to their website, find out about it. It's phenomenal. So I practice that breathing from what I've learned, and in a few minutes you can bring coherence to your brain and heart, which serves you in that it helps to bring balance to your energy centers. So moving energy, I could talk about moving energy for hours. The reason that I laugh a lot, the reason that I feel so happy, the reason that I'm not in perpetual sadness, grief, depression, I do experience those things. They are so brief. If I've experienced sadness, it can be somewhere between zero point 0.5 seconds and 5 or 10 minutes, but it would be rare that I would experience a wave of sadness that's longer than that. Generally speaking, it's moments. It's a very short time. And then I don't get stuck because when I feel something that seems like it's turning into something perpetual sadness, frustration, anger, fear, those emotions that are painful, I begin to practice one of my many techniques that I've learned from other people about how to not stay stuck. And we can change our emotions. A lot of it is just allowing them to flow through us, but we can change it by our intention. And there's other ways to change it. And most often, when we're really stuck, I like when I've been stuck, I don't expect myself to instantly snap out of it. Now, when I was growing up, what I was told, and people ask me, well, who told you that? I was told, I don't have to explain nothing to nobody. I was told from various sources. I'm not giving a dissertation. A dissertation. I said dissertation, but I meant dissertation. I'm not giving a dissertation. I was told, snap out of it. No. That can keep us in bondage. It can keep us stuck. That's what I mean by bondage. It can keep us in our metaphoric chains. So, what I recommend to myself, and this is not advice, I'm not a professional, anything, I don't have any credentials. Having a lot of hours of stillness does not give you any credit. Believe me. No one has to believe it. So, and that includes everyone listening and watching. So, what I recommend to myself is recommend to myself is so sometimes things I forget where I was going. It's funny. So I'm just gonna wait for it to come back. But um, I am the reason I am in a state of perpetual happiness most of the time is that I'm moving a lot of energy consciously. I have made a decision. My recommendation is that people that I set an intention and that people set an intention. This is not advice. Don't hear it that way. I'm entitled to suggest a from a layman. Think of me as a layman. Think of me as an unprofessional. It's funny. So what I suggest is people move energy consciously, set an intention to be happy, set an intention, a firm intention a strong emotional charge, an electrical charge, energy. When it's moving, when it's free to move, when there's balance to our chakras, when there's balance to our energy centers, we can move energy and be thrilled. What I've noticed I've been saying to myself and to other people a lot lately is I am thrilled about whatever's happening, and I'm not thrilled about everything, but um if I'm not thrilled about something, I'm not going to do it. Here's an example, the easiest example I can think of. I'm not going to commit a crime because I find that I cannot be thrilled about it. It's impossible. I cannot be thrilled about hurting someone, killing someone, stealing, cursing someone. So, there are other things that I've tried really hard to be thrilled at. I tried really hard to be thrilled at serving people at restaurants, and it took me about 25 years to realize that I don't want to do that. I don't want to drive for a living. I tried for 6 years to do that, and I was not thrilled. I could be temporarily thrilled, but generally speaking, I'm so grateful that I don't ever have to drive for work. So there are things, this is what I want to do, to be free, to speak from my heart, to speak from energy moving, and to be funny and silly. And I am not a comedian, my God. I'm not going to claim that because Comics, comedians, whatever, stand up comedians, I will never fit into that group. And don't hold me to it, because for all I know, that could change. People change. I could be thrilled about driving. I could be thrilled about working in a restaurant. Who knows what could happen? But for now, I'm not claiming to be a comedian, because what is thought of as a stand up comedian joke written and crafted is what is required is that it have a certain form to it, and I don't care about it. Not one bit. I respect it for other people, but for me, what's funny is energy. There's an energy that comes with joy, and I can just go, and it actually makes me laugh. It's just energy. I'm just sparking it a little bit. So comedians do that too, but they use a specific type of craft. I don't care for myself. For them, I love it. Love that they do. I love that they're comedians. Oh my God, joke writers. And what I've noticed, here's one of the funniest things I notice about comedians, and it's true for me too. Comedians, probably 99% or more of the time, they are not funny. They work themselves up to when they have a set, and that set at most is an hour a night. So let's look at it. In a day, 24 hours. So 10% of the time would be 2.4 hours. So that's a lot of comedy in one day. That's a lot of time to be not funny. But generally speaking, even professional comedians, I would say less than 10% of the time, they are not funny. And I've thought about it a lot, and you don't have to believe me, you're entitled to your opinion. But it's funny how often comedians and just people, sometimes the funniest moments for people are when they're trying not to be funny. That's funny. Very rarely does a comedian, when they're say they're going to they go to a coffee shop or something to go and sit and write jokes. It's funny how often the thoughts are just not, so many things aren't funny to them. And a comedian, say they do an album where they recorded live on a video, Netflix or whatever, and it takes them weeks and even months maybe of doing the same jokes over and over until they're actually really funny. That's funny. So I'm not trying to do that. No. I realized that even the funniest people on earth, some of the funniest people, okay, according to most people in the last 100 years, most people would say that Robin Williams, Jerry Seinfeld, Eddie Murphy, there's so many others. I'm forgetting one of the main ones, but those guys are just some of the funniest people, top 10 ever. And I've heard Robin Williams do whole sets where I didn't laugh at all. That's funny. Because to me, he's one of the funniest people personally. I really enjoy his stuff. There have been times when Jim Carrey has been in movies. How many people have experienced this where it wasn't funny at all? The whole movie. And Jerry Seinfeld, well, I think his show, he was very funny, extremely. A lot of times when I've listened to his comedy sets, I didn't think it was funny, and I was like, "What's wrong with me?" But part of it is that some of his jokes had aged, and then I heard a more recent set that he did. It was very close to the time when I was listening to it, and I was like, "I love this." So at times, it's really, really talk about timing. If you listen to something that's 20 years old, it might not be funny because it may be so influential. Jerry Seinfeld is so influential that he's affecting all the culture around him. So a 20-year-old set of his might just not age well because it's been so integrated into our culture. So I think that's about all I have to say for now. I love my life. I love my life. My laugh can make me laugh. Thank you for listening and watching. I I wish you happiness. I wish you to develop a happiness practice if you can. It's wonderful.